For thousands of years, ancient myths were treated as fantasy. Dragons, sky gods, falling stars, celestial weapons, all dismissed as imagination. But what if myth was never meant to entertain? What if ancient civilizations encoded scientific knowledge inside stories, because that was the only way to preserve forbidden or esoteric information? This episode uncovers that hidden layer, where mythology becomes astronomy in disguise, physics wrapped in symbolism, and cosmic events retold through gods, monsters, and legendary voyages. Welcome to Myths That Encode Science, where the past whispers truths we are only now beginning to understand. Why ancient people used myths as science storage before writing existed. Knowledge had only one safe container: storytelling. A myth was not just a tale. It was a data capsule designed to survive thousands of years, stimulate memory, teach astronomy to priests, pass forbidden knowledge to the next generation. Complex scientific concepts, star cycles, orbital periods, seasonal changes, eclipses, comets, were compressed into dramatic narratives so people would remember them. You can forget numbers, but you never forget a hero slaying a dragon. You never forget a sky god throwing lightning. You never forget a star goddess riding a celestial boat. This is why myths worldwide share the same patterns. Serpents equals comets or meteors, dragons equals celestial objects, chariots equals planets in motion, gods, stars, battles equals cosmic cycles or alignments. What modern readers call fantasy, ancient astronomer priests called memory architecture. The dragon's teeth motif, science hidden in myth. One of the most mysterious myth patterns appears in Sumer, Greece, and the Near East. Dragons' teeth planted into the ground create warriors. You see this in Gilgamesh traditions, the Jason and Argonauts legend, the Cadmus myth, Phoenician proto-myths. But why teeth? Why planting? Why warriors? This is not random symbolism. This is astronomical encryption. Fire interpretation 1. Meteor showers. Dragons in ancient sky lore often represented comets or meteor serpents. When a meteor breaks and its fragments hit the ground, it looks like teeth scattering, sparks becoming born warriors, celestial fire turning into earthly impact, the idea of soldiers rising, mirrors, meteors entering the atmosphere in large groups like an army charging. Fire interpretation 2. Star fields behind constellations. Ancient star priests knew that certain star clusters spawned meteor showers. Example: the Perseids appear from the direction of Perseus, a warrior constellation. So a dragon constellation sending teeth that become fighters is a poetic representation of meteor birth origins. Fire interpretation 3. Seeding knowledge from the sky in agricultural metaphors. Planting equals transmitting. Dragon's teeth equals seeds of knowledge. Right arrow warriors equals enlightened people. Across cultures, dragon teeth were not fantasy. They were cosmic debris, comet fragments, or meteor showers disguised as myth. And this pattern appears long before Greece in Sumerian tablets, where Gilgamesh's own teeth are described as dragon's teeth. This was not storytelling. This was sky science. The heavy star motif encoded description of superdense stars. One of the most extraordinary lines in ancient literature appears in the Epic of Gilgamesh. A star falls from heaven. Gilgamesh tries to lift it, but it is too heavy to move. His companions kiss its feet. He drags it to his mother, who says, "This star is your rival." To modern readers, this sounds symbolic, but ancient astronomy experts notice something else. This is a description of a superdense star, something impossible to understand without modern astrophysics. Why is this astonishing? Thousands of years later, Arab astronomers called a star in the Sirius system Al-Wazn, the Heavy One. Sirius B is a white dwarf, one of the densest kinds of stars in existence. A teaspoon of Sirius B material weighs 5 tons. The idea of a star that cannot be lifted is scientifically accurate, but impossible for ancient people to know unless the information came from earlier lost traditions. Sumerian texts repeatedly refer to this star as heavy, dense, impossible to move, attracting the hero toward it. Essence of Anu, meaning supercondensed material. This is not poetry. This is physics. Gilgamesh's dream is a metaphor for gravitational pull, a star whose mass cannot be resisted. This may be myth encoding the existence of Sirius B, thousands of years before modern telescopes discovered it in 1862. Sky symbols as celestial maps. Ancient priests treated the sky like a giant library. Every constellation had meaning. A boat meant a group of stars traveling together. A chariot meant a planet moving across the sky. A throne meant a fixed star that never walks. A serpent meant a long, winding constellation, or the Milky Way. In myth, gods who sit equals stars that do not move. Gods who walk equals planets. Gods who vanish equals seasonal disappearance. Gods who return equals heliacal rising cycles. This is why Egyptian gods travel in boats. Right arrow star paths. Sumerian gods sit on thrones. Right arrow fixed constellations. Greek gods battle. Right arrow planetary alignments. Hindu gods ride animals. Right arrow star to constellation associations. Mythology was a mnemonic star map. The same story appears across continents because the sky above all humans was the same. When Orion rises, a hunter appears. When Sirius rises, floods begin. When Pleiades vanish, seasons shift. Humans encoded these cosmic rhythms into narratives so future generations would understand celestial cycles without learning mathematics. This is why myths are identical across cultures. They all reflect universal sky events. Why ancient myths mention the same numbers? If mythology is a science storage system, numbers must have meaning. Across Egypt, Sumer, Babylon, Greece, and India, the numbers 36, 50, 72, 360, 108, 12 repeat obsessively. These numbers are not mystical, they are astronomical units. 36 equals decans, 10-day sky divisions. 50 equals possible Sirius B orbital echo. 72 equals rate of precessional shift. 360 idealized year. 108 equals lunar. Solar geometry. 12 equals zodiac/moon cycles. Ancient priests understood that people forget equations but remember symbolism. So they embedded numbers into gods, heroes, journeys, ages, musical structures, temple architecture. This is why 50 Anunnaki, 50 Argonauts, 50 companions of Gilgamesh appear again and again. These numbers were not random. They were codes. Codes for star cycles, orbital periods, astronomical constants. Mythology is mathematics taught through drama. Cross-cultural patterns. Why the same myths appear everywhere? If myths were just stories, they would be different everywhere. But they're not. You see the same symbols in Sumer, Egypt, Greece, India, China, the Americas. Serpents in the sky, dragons falling to earth, hero twins representing dual stars. Flood boats symbolizing celestial arc, sun gods battling dark forces, star maidens descending from heaven. This is not coincidence. It is convergence, different cultures encoding the same astronomical events with their own language. Example, China calls Sirius the heavenly wolf. Egypt calls it Sothis, the star of floods. Sumer calls it the bow star. Greece calls it the dog star. The Dogon say it is the seed of creation. 5 continents, 5 cultures, 1 star. This is how you identify an encoded pattern. When civilizations with no contact somehow record the same star, the same cycle, the same cosmic behavior, using different mythological masks. Myth is not random imagination. It is the memory of the sky, preserved across ages. Technologies hidden in myth symbols. Ancient gods often carry strange tools. Tridents, thunderbolts, scepters, discs, rods, bows, wheels. These were not literal weapons. They were astronomical markers. Examples: Zeus's thunderbolt right arrow, sudden atmospheric or celestial phenomena. Shiva's trident right arrow, 3-star alignment, or triple lunar cycle. Ra's solar disk, right arrow, the heliacal cycle of the sun. Anu's bow star right arrow, Sirius rising. Hermes's caduceus right arrow, twin serpents equals dual stars or magnetic paths. When ancient literature says a god shot an arrow across the sky, it's describing a comet or meteor streak. When it says a serpent coils around the world, it represents the Milky Way's arc. When it says a chariot of fire crossed the heavens, it refers to a bright planet or a celestial body. Myth and modern astronomy are not opposites. They are two languages describing the same sky. Advanced knowledge hidden in simple stories. Let's decode one of the most overlooked lines in Sumerian myth. The gods who sit on their thrones. Why sit? Why thrones? Why always seated? Because seated gods, stars that remain fixed relative to the background sky. Planets walk, but stars sit. This small detail shows you exactly how ancient priests interpreted the sky. Similarly, a god drowning equals a star going below the horizon. A god reborn equals a star reappearing in the heliacal rising. A god mutilated equals a constellation breaking visibility. A god marrying equals star conjunction. A god battling equals planetary opposition. These are not metaphors. They are astronomical logs, disguised as divine drama. A crucial example: the myth of Osiris being torn into pieces is a record of Orion breaking the horizon, Sirius rising separately, visibility fragmentation due to precession. Ancient priests encoded sky mechanics so the knowledge would survive. Modern science is just now validating what they already knew. Case study: when a myth directly describes space phenomena, let's revisit the most fascinating scientific myth fragment: Gilgamesh's dream of the heavy star. He says, "It fell from heaven. He could not lift it, it pulled him toward it. It had essence, too dense to move. His companions kissed it." His mother says, "This is your rival." This is astonishingly aligned with the physics of a white dwarf star. Massive, gravitationally powerful, extremely dense, composed of degenerate matter. Sirius B fits every described trait, and yet, Sumerian civilization had no telescopes, no physics, no modern tools. So how did they embed this knowledge? 3 possibilities. 1. They preserved information from a much older, lost civilization. One advanced enough to understand star density, gravitational pull, binary systems, orbital periods. 2. They inherited knowledge through long astronomical observation over thousands of years. Priests might have recognized subtle wobbles or behaviors of Sirius A caused by Sirius B3. They encoded an older contact event. This is the hypothesis Carl Sagan himself famously admitted was possible. A visiting advanced civilization making periodic surveys of Earth. Whatever the source, the myth is a scientific description no ancient human should have been able to create. Yet it exists, perfectly preserved. Final decoding: what myths were actually trying to tell us. When you read myths with modern scientific eyes, a new reality appears. Dragons, right arrow comets, meteors, cosmic serpents, sky boats, right arrow star paths, and celestial orbits, thunder gods, right arrow atmospheric or cosmological forces, heavy stars, right arrow dense cosmic objects, sacred numbers, right arrow orbital cycles, and astronomical constants. Divine births, right arrow heliacal risings, flood myths, processional markers. Ancient people were not ignorant. They were encoding astronomical knowledge in the only medium that could survive: myth. And when you connect Sumer, Egypt, Greece, Dogon, India, China, and the Americas, you find one continuous hidden curriculum. The sky was a classroom. Myth was the textbook, priests were the scientists, gods were cosmic bodies, legends were encrypted equations. There was never a separation between mythology and astronomy. Myth was astronomy, protected, preserved, disguised, waiting for us to decode. You've just seen how ancient myths hide advanced sky knowledge, but the story goes deeper. Because of the bow star, the daughter of Anu, the star that sits among the 50, and why ancient texts identify it with Sirius. Egypt, Sumer, and Greece all reference the same star using different names. And when you combine them, a single cosmic